Stress is no longer a phase, it's a way of life. Deadlines, distractions, constant pressure, it never stops. Join us as we dive in with Sri Ananta Bhagavan Das Prabhu to discover spiritual insights that don't just manage stress but transform it.
So, Prabhuji, nowadays the term stress is very common. So, according to spiritual wisdom, what is the definition of stress?
So stress is a common thing nowadays. The statistics say that more than 30% of people in America they visit psychiatrists, and even junior psychiatrists, doctors they visit senior psychiatrists. That is how the statistics are. So stress, by definition, it means that a physical or mental response because of some unease or tension or anxiety or something like that. So there are several symptoms by which we can understand that we are undergoing stress. As we were discussing, one of the major symptoms is there is irritability, there is tension, there is anxiety, and then there is a strain in relationships like that. And apart from that, it can also be manifest in our body, like sometimes it leads to sleeplessness, it leads to confusion, it leads to indecisive nature. So all these things.
So, Prabhuji, few people don't think from a different perspective unless they are not under pressure. So, Prabhuji, in that case, is stress always bad, or sometimes it can help us to grow also?
There is what is called as healthy pressure. So naturally, in order for us to flourish, we need some pressure that will help us flourish. In Mahabharata, it says, Yudhishthir Maharaj, when he's talking with Yamraj, so one of the questions, one of the answers for which Yamraj says that what stops progress? He says, complacency. So, or self-satisfaction in a negative sense. So that stops progress. So for progress, we need healthy stress. Now the problem is if the healthy stress becomes unhealthy, that's where the problem happens. So that leads to toxicity. So that's what we have to be watchful of. But healthy stress is recommended. Like for example, students, unless and until there is stress or some healthy stress, they will, when there is healthy stress, they can use that healthy stress in order to promote, in order to progress their own careers, etc. Like that. So there is such healthy stress is required.
So, Prabhuji, how does Bhagavad Gita play a crucial role, or how Bhagavad Gita's teaching help us in tough time in such scenarios?
Bhagavad Gita speaks about peace. There is one shloka which says that Bhoktaram Yagyatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suhridam Sarvabhutanam Gyatvam Santim Ruchati. Shantim Ruchati. So how can we be peaceful? Gyatva. By knowing. By knowing what? Three things. Bhoktaram Yagyatapasam. Lord is the enjoyer of all sacrifices. Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam. He is the well-wishing friend of all living entities. He is my own well-wishing friend, everyone's well-wishing friend. Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. He is the proprietor of everything, all planets. So it's simple Sanskrit. So Bhagavad Gita says, Bhagavad Gita gives these three formulas in order to for being peaceful despite being under stressful situation, or despite being going through transient situations where there are potential stressful situations like that. So Bhagavad Gita, it gives these three solutions. So when we accept these three solutions, then it will help us to become peaceful in our existence.
So, Prabhuji, we all know that meditation or chanting mantras helps us in during tough time. So, what is the science behind it?
Yeah, good question. So we were discussing about Suhridam Sarvabhutana. So Lord, He is the well-wishing friend within our heart. There's one more shloka which says Sarvasya Chaham Priti Sannivishto Matta Smritir Jnanam Apohanam. So He's there seated within our heart and He gives Smriti, he gives remembrance. Jnanam, he gives knowledge. Apohanam, he gives forgetfulness. So he gives all these three things. So he is there seated within our heart. Now the different activities which you are speaking about, so they are certainly helpful, but they will be more helpful if we understand it in connection with God, because then it gives a greater strength. Like there are several stress relievers which are advertised, which if we take them, they are surely helpful. There is no doubt about it. But then if we keep connection, we have an internal connection with God, then we get that strength to be able to overcome a stressful situation, or to we get that strength to progress in our life.
Okay, so Prabhuji, according to you, what is the biggest mistake people make while dealing with this stress?
One of the biggest mistakes they try to totally say, they get into an anxiety that, oh, I'm getting stress, I have to be out of stress, and then while in the mode of getting into that anxiety, that adds more stress. So instead of focusing on how to remove stress, try to understand or be aware of our situation and begin with accepting our situation. So instead of accepting our situation, if we go into the zone of negating it, that is going to really harm us. So better is to accept whatever situation we are in and try to find out what solutions we can adopt.
So Prabhuji, we often take our regular workplace conflict or criticism so personally, and that affects our well-being, emotional well-being. So Prabhuji, in that case, how can someone stop taking small things so personally?
Yeah, Bhagavad Gita speaks about this concept. It gives an example. It speaks about an ocean. When there are rivers coming in an ocean, there are multiple rivers coming into an ocean. So when there are multiple rivers coming into an ocean, still the ocean doesn't get affected. So similarly, it says, Astita Pragya, one who is advanced in spiritual consciousness, there may be thoughts coming into his heart, into his mind, but still he doesn't become affected, because his heart is as vast as an ocean. So our endeavor is to increase our heart space, and if we increase our heart space, then even if there are some difficulties, even if there are some problems in our workplace, in our relationships, they don't affect us much. They may have some effect, but then we can again come back. So our endeavor is to increase our heart space. One of the best ways by which we can increase our heart space is by connecting with God.
Okay, so Prabhuji, how can we train our mind so that we can stay cool and calm under pressure?
Yeah, just now we were discussing about being a Sthita Pragya. The word Sthita Pragya means one who is one who is stable and even in difficult situations. That's what it means. So, second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, towards the end of the chapter, in great detail, Krishna speaks about. Arjuna asked this question, that what are the symptoms, what are the activities which a Sthita Pragya does, and Krishna speaks in great detail about the activities and the symptoms of a Sthita Pragya. So Bhagavad Gita speaks in great detail as to how Sthita Pragya acts, so that even despite situations, troubling situations, or difficult situations, he or she is stable in such situations and circumstances. So there are three ways by which we can be stable even in difficult situations and circumstances. One way is, as we were discussing, to be connected with God. Another good way is to have good friends and good association who are connected with God, and that they keep helping us regularly. Another way is by ourselves contributing for a higher cause, mm, not just our own causes, but for a higher cause. These are some of the ways by which we can advance in our consciousness, which helps us to be to manage stress in a progressive way.
Suppose Prabhuji, someone is stuck in stress and he tried everything he knew. So what will be your advice to that person?
So one has to accept one situation and slow down if needed. So to become aware of our situation is important. Generally, there are so many solutions which are available in the market. We may try this, try that, try this, try that, and that could be helpful. If it helps, it's well and good. At the same time, it's also important to accept and be aware of our situation. That yes, I'm going through a situation which is uh, which where I have to give my time and energy. I'm giving my time and energy in many places, but I have to give some time and energy in this place as well. So I have to bring out that time and energy to give in that place. So one has to accept one situation. So it starts with awareness and acceptance. And in order to be aware and be aware of our own situation and accept our situation with a heartfully, for to be able to do that, we may have to put the time and energy if needed. So that may involve slowing down. So therefore, Bhagavad Gita speaks about Rajogun, Tamogun, Rajogun, and Sattvagun. So it's helpful if one comes from Tamas and Rajas to Sattva.
So Prabhuji, there are many people who have succeeded in life and they have money, they have every success and they have achieved many things in life, but in deep inside they are not happy. So what will be your suggestion to them?
It's not that there are many people. Yeah, there are some people. It's not that all successful or many successful people are not happy inside. They could be happy inside as well. But there may be some people who are not satisfied within. We speak about investments. So we invest in mutual funds, we invest in real estate, and then they make money. And similarly success. We invest in our career and it brings out results. So we are speaking about money, we are speaking about fame, success, and all these things. Where we invest, we get results. Similarly, when we are investing in this, why not invest in our own inner connection? Why not give the time and energy to enhance our own heart space? As simple as that. So, while being successful externally, it's also our endeavor. We also have to put equal endeavors, if not more endeavors, to be successful internally. So, while investing time and energy in external, very so-called peripheral spaces, it's also important to invest the time and energy in our heart space.
So Prabhuji, many people say that I want peace, but I don't have time to practice spirituality, or simply they don't believe in spirituality. So Prabhuji, in that case, is spirituality is necessary for being peace?
Yeah, as we were discussing, there are many solutions in the market which may help relieve our stress. I'm not denying on that. They are stress busters, stress relievers, and so there is no denial on that. But spirituality, when we are practicing spirituality, it connects us with a higher power beyond our own power. So that makes a lot of difference. Like for example, if a small child is going in an unknown path, you can try to get some maps and use some pointers or something like that to go to the goal, which is good. Imagine if he has a guide who knows the path. It becomes all the more easy. It becomes far, far more easier, isn't it? So similarly, a connection with spirituality, internal connection, it connects us with a higher power, with a higher being. In spirituality, in the process of bhakti, we accept God is a person who reciprocates with our feelings when we offer our devotion to Him. So, reciprocation means He gives us a personal connection and personal experience by which we can understand His hand in our life. So, that makes a lot of difference.
So Prabhuji, how can our eating habit and our lifestyle affect our emotional well-being?
17th chapter of Bhagavad Gita speaks about it. Eating and lifestyle in mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. So there are food in mode of goodness, there is food in mode of passion, there's food in mode of ignorance. Similarly, lifestyle in mode of goodness, lifestyle in mode of passion, lifestyle in mode of ignorance. So Bhagavad Gita speaks about it in great detail. Food and lifestyle affects us. What food we take, it affects our consciousness. According to Vedic scriptures, the consciousness in which the food is cooked, the same consciousness is imbibed by the person who takes it. So if you go to a hotel or if you go to a restaurant, so they generally the cooking is done with the consciousness to make money or something, or make money or make one's own career. But if you take your own mother's food, it is made in a consciousness wherein how can I offer my devotional offering to my children? So it's done with a love. It's done with love and sacrifice. So if we accept such a food wherein the consciousness has gone, where the consciousness is in a mood of making it as an offering, spiritual offering to God and to humanity, and if such a consciousness is gone, naturally that consciousness affects us also. Similarly, lifestyle, if we have a good lifestyle, if we have a lifestyle which is a progressive lifestyle, healthy lifestyle, it will keep us, it will make us progressive as well.
So Prabhuji, if we have too much attachment to anything, can it be a cause of our stress?
Yeah, good question. So Bhagavad Gita speaks about the basic concept that attachment can lead to stress, and attachment can lead to many other problems, including stress. So there is a question in people's minds in general that how can we get results without being attached to it? For example, if I'm running a business, it's very difficult to say it's very difficult to think that I'll put a lot of endeavors without expecting profit. Similarly, students, if they're preparing for examination, they do a lot of endeavor, it's expected. But then if you tell them you do a lot of endeavor, but don't think about exam results, it's pretty difficult to think in that direction. So many times, generally, people tend to think, therefore, spirituality is impractical. So it speaks about doing your work while not being attached to results. How is it possible? Because results bring out, the expectation of results bring out hard work. That is the understanding which we have in general. And considering this, we think that spirituality is impractical. However, Krishna speaks about it in Bhagavad Gita. He says, Yat karoshi yad asnasi yad juhosi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam. Madarpanam. Tat kurushva madarpanam. Whatever you do, yat tapasyasi, yat karoshi, whatever sacrifices you offer, whatever work you do, you make it, you offer it, tat madarpanam, you offer it to me. So like that Krishna says. So the results which we understand, they belong to a higher power. They belong to God. So that makes things easier in the sense that we can do our endeavor without being attached to results. But then the question arises that imagine if a mother is taking care of a child, unless and until the mother has affection for this child, she will not put that endeavor. Mother, she takes care of her own child, she may not necessarily take so much care of neighbor's child. So because she has that affection for her child. So similarly, if we have affection for God, then that makes spirituality very practical. So that makes attachment. Therefore, we are speaking about inner connection. Therefore, we are speaking about inner connection, and therefore, we are speaking about the concept which Bhagavad Gita speaks about. So, Hridam Sarva Bhutana. Krishna himself says that I am the friend of all living entities. He is the best friend. So, means the most well-wishing friend and the closest intimate associate. And he's there right within our heart. Sarvasya Chaham Hridi, within the heart. He's situated within the heart. Sannivisto, he's present within the heart. So like that. So he is there within the heart, and by connecting to him, and if we have that strong connection, then that gives us the strength, or that gives us the that affection for God. It gives us the disposition by which we can work for him. We can work hard. At the same time, we understand that the results belong to God. And that's how spirituality becomes very important.
So, Prabhuji, what do you think about social media? Like, some studies already prove that social media makes us more stressed. So, in that case, what will be your advice to use social media in a productive way?
Social media in general, the algorithms are made in such a way that they're addictive. Like, for example, if you look at the reels, uh, shorts. So you see one reel, it takes a minute, maybe less than a minute, whatever time it takes. And then generally it's very rare that after seeing one reel, one stops it.
Yeah.
One goes after one reel, then second reel, third reel, fourth and fifth, and goes on and on. And sometimes it takes hours. It goes hours gone. So how does it happen? Because the whole algorithm is made in such a way that you become addicted to it. So that is one problem. Another major problem with social media is it has a capacity to numb our emotions. Numbing our emotions means, imagine if you want to experience rain, if you see it on a screen, oh, there is a hero, heroine, they are enjoying in the rain or something like that. So it will be a very pleasant scenario. But then you can have some experience about it. But if you yourself go and drench yourself in the rain, it's a totally different experience. So a virtual reality is created in social media, and a virtual nowadays the stories are also so complicated, the movies storylines and all. So a virtual scenario is created by which one tends to think that I can become successful by being in this virtual reality. So it takes us away from practical reality. So these are two problems. One problem is addictiveness. Another problem is it numbs our emotions by making us addicted or attached to virtual reality, which takes us away from a actual reality. So that's how social media it induces stress, and it induces many other problems. Now, having said this, we don't say that social media does not have an important role to play in all this, because nowadays internet naturally it has good things, it has bad things. Anything, it comes with a package. There are some good things in it, there are some bad things. So it's important for us to be discriminative, to be able to take the good things and say no to bad things. So now, how do we draw that line? Therefore, we recommend the digital detox once in a while. Nowadays, it's very easy to say no to food, but it's very easy. It's very, very difficult. Probably there may not be a day when we don't have. Probably there may not be an hour when we don't use phone. What to speak of a day? So digital detox once in a while. So that helps. So like.
So, Prabhuji, there is a statement like, do your duty without attachment. So, is it actually practically possible?
So we can do our duty without attachment if we have an inner connection, and uh, if we focus on it, while at the same time mm, there's something called as do your best and leave the rest to God. So when we prepare ourselves, we prepare in such a way that we get the best results. But when the results actually come, then we try to be detached. That can be possible only if we have a strong inner connection.
So, if a person is already in too much stress and now the stress is affecting his health also, so in that case, what will be your recommended healing process?
First thing is to take care of health, no doubt. At the same time, we need good friends. many times Many times we are not even aware of the situation we are in. So if we have good friends, they tell us to become aware of the situation. So therefore, we have to keep that conscious endeavor to have good friends. And 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 to become aware of the situation is very important. The self-awareness is a very important concept in Bhagavad Gita. So to become aware of the situation and to have good friends. So these two are very important things in order to come out of a really stressful situation.
Prabhuji, how can we identify the difference between healthy pressure and the toxic stress?
One way is that how our body is reacting. Our body is reacting to the situations. That is one way to identify it, and how our mind is reacting. But nowadays, unfortunately, it so happens that we are not very much aware of our own self. The second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the whole chapter, majority of the chapter, it speaks about self-awareness. It says that how we are not this body, we are spirit, soul, and what are the needs of the soul, and how this spirit, soul, it has intelligence, mind, ego, man, buddhi, ahankar. So all these different concepts are very well elaborated in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So by having knowledge of self-awareness, we get to understand when we are in a stressful situation, or when it's healthy stress, or when it's a stress which may burn us out. So these things, these concepts become clearer when we are aware of our own self.
So, Prabhuji, when stress start affecting our relationship and our work, so how can we restart?
Four things. One is accepting our situation. Once we accept our situation, then we think about the solutions. But first step is acceptance. That itself takes a lot of endeavor and time and energy which we need to invest. Second thing is strengthening our inner connection. As we were discussing, we need a higher power. By connecting with Him, we'll be able to transcend the difficult situation. Thirdly, having good friends, a good association, a healthy association. A friend in need is a friend indeed, who relate with us irrespective of our successes or failures. And last but not the least, to contribute in our own way for a higher cause.